How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
Good. Thank you for being here. My name is Ryan McCauley, and I'm the coordinator at the Fuller Creative Learning Center, which is an extension of the East Providence Public Library, located in the Kent Heights area of East Providence, and I also do adult programming here at Weaver Library. So tonight, the East Providence Historical Society and the East Providence Public Library will commemorate the 350th anniversary of the King Philip's War with a panel presentation. Speakers will include Pokanoket tribal historian Don Strong Turtle Brown Jr., St. Jim Harry Hawk Edmonds, Psalms Heritage Area Project Coordinator Dr. David Weed, Newman Congregational Church Pastor Reverend Samuel Lovett, and Chair of the Mayor's Council on Indigenous Affairs Carol Brown, and myself as moderator. Tonight also includes an opportunity for audience comments and questions. So before we begin, I'm going to hand it off to Jeff and Cheryl Faria from the East Providence Historical Society, who will say a few words.
Hello and welcome to this meeting. We're really excited about having this presentation about the 350th anniversary of King Philip's War. And Nancy Moore will be introducing the panelists shortly. But first, we just wanted to say a few words about the East Providence Historical Society. As Ryan said, I'm Cheryl Faria. This is Jeff Faria. We're co-presidents. And I'll turn it over.
Okay. How many of you are members of the East Providence Historical Society? Great.
Oh, that's very good.
And then, could we have our board members stand? So, for those of you who aren't familiar, we are a 100% volunteer organization, and our museum is located at the John Hunt House Museum, which is just off Pleasant Street, kind of behind Price Right when you go over the bridge coming in from Seacon. Every single month we have somebody who grew up their whole lives and didn't know we were there. Our mission is to enrich and educate the citizens of East Providence and the surrounding communities, and we have docent-led museum experiences on the second Sunday of each month. We have genealogical research, we have educational member meetings, we have a Master Gardener program there with seeds and plants that we've been growing. We have rotating exhibits, and we had just featured the high school exhibits. So if you're interested in learning more about us, please check out one of our board members. And I would now like to introduce our remarkable woman. And she hears that word one more time. Nancy Moore.
Oh my gosh, it'll never stop. I want to thank Deb Amarad here and Ryan, who helped me put this all together. It was a bit like herding cats at a couple of points, but it's very gratifying to see you all here and to know that the subject matter is well worth your time. I have lived here only 50 years, and I've attended 2 presentations about the King Philip War, and both of them were very scholarly, and I learned a lot, but I only learned about it from the side of the white man. It might have been mentioned that the men were killed or sent into slavery, but that was not on the docket. This promises to be a different story. I'm quite sure, knowing the people who are up here. So, a couple of things I need to say to you. We are going to run an Indigenous exhibition at Hunt House Museum, July through December. If you have things in your possession that you think other people would enjoy knowing about, looking at, and would like to loan them to us, see somebody who's a member here tonight and let them know, or call the Historical Society and let them know that we can have them. Sometimes when we do an exhibit like this, things just grow. People come in and they say, oh, I've got something you really should have here. And they'll go home and get it, type of thing. So please do that. Dave Weed, one of our presenters, has put together, he's been doing some lecturing from an entirely different standpoint, a grassroots project here. So those things are over there. And lo and behold, we find that Harry and Lee and their cousin Gina put together a whole 3-part presentation for the Reporter way back in 2012, 2013. So if you want to go online and find that, I had some copies, but I think they're gone already. It's very scholarly, very well thought out, and you'll really enjoy it. Let's see. Oh, and the last announcement is that when we finish here tonight, would you please all stand in your seat or holding up the back wall, because Reverend Sam, will give us a benediction for going home that's appropriate for all of us, just as Harry is going to do a tobacco blessing for us now, both in Algonquin and in the English language. So I'm going to turn this over to Harry.
We say, aho. Aho. I'm Harry Hawk Edmonds, sachem of the Pokanoket Tribal Nation, one of the sachems. We have our Sagamore here. You've probably seen him still walking down at the Washington Square. I want to welcome everybody here today, this evening. I'd like to start off by offering a sacred tobacco blessing in the language of my people. The language that my ancestors were deprived of speaking after the King Philip's War of 1675-1676. After keeping peace with the settlers for over 50 years, the King Philip's War broke out. The war only lasted a year, according to colonial history, but it was the bloodiest war per capita of all wars. Our way of life was taken from us. So what I've done is I've learned some of the language, the Algonquin, the Nipmuc language that my ancestors spoke back in the day. And this sacred tobacco offering is all about honor and respect, which is the native way. Native way, we respected especially Mother Earth. This is where we all came from, and I think we'll all be going back there one day. I will offer this sacred tobacco offering also in the English language, so you've understood what I've communicated to you. I will begin. Sacred tobacco. Could I get everybody to stand for those who can stand? I will begin. Katatuit numagni oitamog. Aki numagni oitamog. Okamus. Nupashad numagni oitamog. Ouchi chi kiriasan nupawas. Numagni oitamog. Tubatni anawayan. Numagni witamog o yu upna shikaki. Wampanayu, sowanayu, patanayu, nanamayu. Tabatni anawayan. Nuwachi wami nitam pog. Neg Pamaninacheg, Neg Pamampachig, Papinashimwag, Medakakwash Moskitosh, Nemosag, Aquitianamuk, Wee Chi Ninamacheg, Achuk, Mask, Makwashim, Tanupasag, Sasaso, Wudagash, Katantawit, Numagni, Owitamog. Oh. Great Spirit, I offer this tobacco. Mother Earth, I offer this tobacco. Grandmother Moon, I offer this tobacco. Grandfather Sun, I offer this tobacco. I thank you. I offer this tobacco to the four directions, to the east, to the south, to the west, to the north. I thank you for all my relations, the winged nation, the creeping, crawling nation, the four-legged nation, the green and growing nation, and all things living in the water. Honoring the clans, the deer, the bear, the wolf, the turtle, the snipe, and the rabbit. Great Spirit, I offer this tobacco. Oh. My ancestors fought a war in 16. The Pilgrims landed here in 1620 after keeping peace with them for over 50 years. Of course, we all know the King Philip's War broke out. And according to colonial history, it was the bloodiest war per capita of all wars. But we fought that war to preserve and save our way of life, to save our land. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you talk to, we lost that war. So we had to assimilate and adapt the ways of the settlers in order to survive. But we're still here, and we're still carrying on with our culture to let the public know that we're still here. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and hopefully we'll get you folks to come to a powwow one of these days and dance to the heartbeat of the drum. I thank you for being here and coming. And there's a war cry that my ancestor used to say when he was fighting the settlers to save our way of life. He was heard to cry out in battle, "Ayutash! Ayutash! Stand firm and fight! Ayutash!" And I want to leave that with this audience today. Don't ever give up. Ayutash!
Ayutash!
Aho!
Aho! All right, thank you.
My native name is Little Meadow, and I don't know how to say it in the language. We'll just say it in English. About 3 years ago, during the summer, my cousin, Patricia Baptista Booker, in fact, before I tell the story, can all of the members of Macoya please stand that are here? Patricia Baptista Booker is our vice chair. This is our secretary. Say your name.
Karen Carr, Morning Sunrise.
This is our member. Say your name.
Seochipo, Patricia Sutton.
This is our member.
Harry the Hawk.
Our
Quanoonan.
Okay. And we have a membership of, a council of 9. There are people who can come to our meeting at any time, but our council members are 9. They can vote. Anybody who comes to our meeting, you can come, but you cannot vote. Only our council of 9 can vote. So our other members that are not here, one is sick, So I don't know where the others are, they're probably working or whatever, but you may be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
And,
Thank you.
Like I started to say, Patricia and I had been talking about doing something in this city. There had not been anything indigenous done in the city. So we went to the mayor and Elmer, told them that we would like to organize something. And the mayor said, okay, go ahead, do it. You know, so in November of 2022, the Mayor's Council on Indigenous Affairs was born with a council of 7. And the first thing we did was in November, we decorated the display case at City Hall, and we had a, it wasn't a powwow, but it was like a Thanksgiving, native Thanksgiving at City Hall. We invited people to come, the mayor was there, we had a drum, we had the Poconuggets that were there, and we celebrated and we had some food. It went over very well. So we said we would do this every November because November is a Native American Appreciation Month. So we said we would do this every month, every November. We've had 3. Gets bigger and bigger. The food gets better and better. I think they come for the food. We do native food. How many people like squash soup? You will like native squash soup. You will like native food. We have succotash, we have, what's that tea we do? Sassafras tea, yes. You will like it. We come November at City Hall. So we did that, then we had a powwow last year. We had it at Pierce Field. It was hot. Very, very hot. We're not having one this year. We were going to have one, but some things that we do wasn't going to work out at where we wanted to have it. So we're doing something different this year. June 29th at Anamonese Park. You all know where that is? Central Avenue, Central Park? All you who grew up in Central East Providence, you know where that is. Okay. We're having Strawberry Moon Festival. Natives have 13 moons, 13 festivals. So we are having June 29th at the park, Strawberry Moon Festival. Come on out and have it with us. Celebrate with us. Get your chocolate-covered strawberry, and strawberry shortcake, and strawberry cake, and strawberry whatever else we're going to serve. You will have a wonderful time with us, and singing and dancing. We do many things. The reason why we organized in the first place was to educate the people in East Providence that we are still here and let them know about our culture and the things that we do. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because a lady came up to me one time when we were, I think I was in Stop and Shop or somewhere, and she says, "Are you Indian?" I says, "Yeah, I'm Native." And she says, "Well, you know, do you live in East Providence?" I said, "Yes." And she says, "Oh, well, are there any more Indians in East Providence?" I said, "Yes." And she says, I said, "We've been here for thousands of years." And she says, "Well, I thought East Providence was started by Portuguese people." No. And that's what made me think, oh, we've got to educate the people of East Providence. We've been here for thousands of years, and we're still here. So that's why we started this McCoya, we call it, the Mayor's Advisory Council on Indigenous Affairs. And I really don't like to call myself Native or Indian. I'm Indigenous. And that's what you can call me. I don't know what others want to be called, but when you see me, I'm Indigenous, you know, and you can call me that, you know. So that's what our organization is about. When you see flyers around and you see any of us, you can ask us what's happening, and we'll be glad to tell you what's happening. So in June 29th, Animal East Park, Central Avenue, East Providence, join us from 12 to 3. Okay.
Thank you.
We will now hear from Newman Congregational Church Pastor Reverend Samuel Lovett.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Lovett. I'm very grateful and glad to be with you all tonight and to be with this panel of folks speaking. I bring greetings from Newman Congregational Church in Rumford. We are a church connected with the United Church of Christ denomination, and we say that our theology is thousands of years old, but our thinking is not. We are animated by a pursuit of justice, knowing that holding the legacies of harm and conflict that Christianity has been a part of, from crusades to inquisitions to colonization to manifest destiny to the terrors of residential schools, that we hold those at the same time that we hold onto the hope and belief that the tradition of Jesus at a basic level can inspire us to acts of wholeness, hope, and care. I've been the pastor at the church for 10 weeks, but I also grew up in the church and in East Providence and am broadly familiar with some of the history of the church, though there are certainly many who know it better than I do, including Nancy Godfrey, a church member who is here tonight, and members of the racial equity team at the church who have been helpful in helping me think through in preparation for tonight. I just have 1 or 2 minutes of things to share, but the context of our church is part of the context of this war. Newman Church was gathered on Soam's land in 1643 by the Reverend Samuel Newman and a group of Plymouth Bay colonists who had left the area that we now call the South Shore of Boston. The plaque outside the church says that Massasoit Osamequin sold 64 square miles of land to the colonists, though there is more complexity here than a simple exchange of goods, and we can talk more about that more at length. Samuel Newman had religious roots in similar soil to Roger Williams, both of whom were Puritans who left England because of religious persecution and who left the core of Puritan religious activity in North America to live in this region of the world. In this part of the world, these religious folks entered into ongoing systems of indigenous communities and life spanning back millennia. They built settlements that defense was their guiding principle. All of their homes ringed a green where the first church meeting house of our churches was located and where they could keep their livestock penned in. The first meeting house of Newman Church burned in the first year of King's Philip War, and the church today at the corner of Newman and Pawtucket Avenues is the fourth such meeting house. Members of the church community would have been engaged in that conflict, and the letters of the ministers of the church contribute to the historical record of this war. Most of the letters include stories of just burying people continually, as the facts about the high casualty rates of this war attest to. Mindful of our past, Newman Church and our UCC denomination have attempted to be a leader for justice in our time, knowing that direct engagement with the world is an essential way to defend people in need and to make real the values of faith. This includes advocating for our LGBTQ siblings, refugees, housing and food insecure people, and those made vulnerable by legacies of racism and colonization. The church worshiped with members of the Pokanoket tribe in 2022, as I have been told, and I'm grateful for that connection, as part of a dedication to a historical marker located on Newman Avenue. And that ongoing connection is meaningful to the congregation. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of this tonight.
Thank you, and we will now welcome Soames Heritage Area Project Coordinator, David Weed.
Welcome tonight. It's great to see such a great crowd of people, and I hope you represent even hundreds more people in this community who want to learn about this history. So your job is to take what you learned tonight and spread the word, okay? Because this is, as Carol pointed out, this is important that people know the history of this town. And the history of this town did not begin 350 years ago. It goes back a lot longer. My job is to tell you in 5 minutes the 400-year history here before I turn it over to Strong Turtle from the Pokanoket tribe to tell you the way it really happened, okay? All I have to go on is the colonial records, which, as we are well aware, left a lot of things out and distorted some of the things that we learned. But let me just say that had the European settlers not come here, this would be a different place today. And I was telling Strong Turtle that the only 2 places I could find in the world that have not been colonized by Europeans, anybody know? Japan, okay, never been colonized. And it's kind of interesting because we think, there's one theory that some of the people from Japan actually migrated to the Americas 30,000 years ago. The other group is a group in western Brazil of native people who are being protected in an area the size of Portugal, okay, and they have never been colonized as well.
Wow.
But given that history of colonization worldwide, what happened here and understanding what happened here is important to understanding what happened in the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Okay, so you can apply what you learned tonight to that knowledge. Very, very briefly, before the colonists arrived, things were going pretty well, as far as we know. There were a few skirmishes, but in general, people lived here peacefully for thousands of years without major problems, with no evidence of starvation or other problems. This was the good life here.
No sickness.
Yeah, no sickness until 1616, when we think, according to colonial records, that a French fishing vessel came to Maine, and because the ships were, by 1616, were traveling much faster, they were able to carry diseased people, infected people, faster, and brought, we don't know what, leprospirosis or a number of infectious diseases that swept through the coastal area here and killed up to 90% of people living here. So the town of Patuxent, the settlement of Patuxent, that had been there for, as far as we know, thousands of years, was wiped out, so that when the separatists from England, by way of Leiden, came here, they found nothing but bones on the ground. Okay? Of course, their interpretation was, God has prepared the way. Well, little did they know that an entire culture and civilization was being threatened by the loss of people there. And when, I think it was approximately 300 warriors came to Patuxent in 1621 for the so-called Thanksgiving, their numbers were down by 90%, I think, from 3,000. But Strong Turtle will fill me in on that. So basically what you have at that point, though there was an opportunity there for Usamequin to strike a treaty, which he did in March of 1621. And note the fact that March is the vernal equinox, okay? That was a chosen time that he met, as is the start of the war. It was the summer solstice in June of 1621. So it's important to understand the celestial calendar and how Native people saw the world at that point. But in March of 1621, struck a 6-point agreement, a peaceful settlement at that point in time. And that meant that not only would the separatists be able to survive, which they wouldn't have had they not had help, but that the Pokanoket tribe could survive against the Narragansetts, who were threatening to move into the area. You'll get the rest of the story, so I don't want to take